What is going on, Evan Nation? Jonathan here, James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook live show. Today, we are taking a look at the 9-game main slate over on DraftKings. That starts at 6:40 p.m. Eastern today. We got a little Dodgers in cores dominating our early projected rostership. We have a 7K Shohei Ohtani on the main slate here tonight, so it should be pretty interesting to see where we come up with our roster builds. We have some official lineups. I did the 3 pick'em articles today, so I got some pretty interesting spots potentially to go for pitching for us this evening. It's all in all shaping up to be a pretty good way to kick off the week. Sir Grande, how are we doing?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me it's Monday. I forgot for a little bit, but here we are. It's Monday. So thanks. Just got the Dodgers lineup. Shohei Ohtani is in fact leading off. That is confirmed now. Interesting lineup overall. I think the top 4 kind of expected, but maybe a little different order than maybe we anticipated.
Right.
Will Smith hitting second, Freeman third, but yeah, I mean, you're not lying when you talk about dominating the ownership. Top 5 are Dodgers, 6 of the first 7 and 7 of the first 9, and then 9 of the first 12 are all Dodgers. All double-figure ownership. Not included in that list was Miguel Rojas, but he's in the top 15. Don't you worry, John. Someone who's not even in the lineup is in the top 10 tonight. And
we'll get all the updated rostership obviously after today's show.
Yep.
Make sure that we take care of that for all of you. But yeah, the early looks obviously we expected to be pretty Dodger heavy there, and that is not disappointing. I will say we have the return of Trey Turner for today's slate. He is actually one of the higher rostered players of the day as well. We did like some of the Phillies today, more so the lefties than the righties, but still getting Trey Turner back in that lineup today obviously is significant here. So we appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't already hit that like, hit that share button. It's a free way to support the work we do here over on the Fantasy Alarm channel. If you're not over yet in our YouTube, go over there and hit that subscribe button to get notified whenever we go live. Turn on your notifications for the Fantasy Alarm X channel as well, so you know when we go live here. Breaking down every day, 5 p.m. Eastern time for the MLB DFS slate. And of course, we have football shows kicking off throughout the week here as well. Our fantasy football draft guide is launching soon, so stay tuned to that. Let's just pull up the board here. We'll start things off. We go position by position. If you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat. Our guy, Pod DJ Stoner, just popping in there talking about some THC infused bacon. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with some bacon. I like that. And of course, telling y'all to smash the like button. So we appreciate having him popping in there. Top price starting pitcher on the day, Sonny Gray going up against Miami Marlins. He's $10,500. Max Fried, Paul Skeens rounding out the top 3. We talked about this morning. We ranked them out. We kind of had Skeens, Fried, Gray as the 1, 2, 3. Has anything changed for you on that front, James?
No. Neither does the ownership either. We actually rated them out how they are projected in terms of rostership. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's necessarily surprising, considering one guy could be the difference between Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, right? So, and Shohei's like the least rostered Dodger of the most.
It's hard to get to if you're building a stack, right?
Like very hard. So nothing's necessarily changed. There's obvious well, if I play Sonny Gray and he has the game that he had last time out, then there's leverage on Max Fried if Max Fried has the game that he had the last time out, right? But Fried's matchup is elite against Detroit. Skeens is matchup proof at this point in his career. As we've seen, he's very hard to hit. He's getting standing ovations from road crowds. He's pitching in the 7th innings. The only thing that's really evaded him somewhat are wins. I mean, 6 1/3 scoreless baseball, 8 strikeouts, and he didn't get a win last time out, right? And then you're looking at a 30 fantasy point game in that up, and you're like, oh, okay, well.
Right.
So I still rate it Skeens, Fried, Gray. All 3 are elite. If you have the $1,000 to get to Sonny Gray, salute to you. I'd like to see what your roster construction looks like. If it also includes Ohtani or Freeman or Teoscar as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there as well. I think, getting to Sonny Gray is more of the contrarian play here today. I do kind of favor Freed over Skeens a little bit more as the day has gone on. I think there's just a better chance, I think, Freed of throwing a complete game today. And you get the bonus points for those complete game shutouts. We've seen him do it twice. He's pitching to the eighth. I don't know if Skeens is at that spot yet. So I've looked at it today. I think Freed for sure in cash games feels like the safest play. But I haven't mind getting to him either in tournaments, just sort of giving it. I know Skeens has that strikeout upside, but I'm definitely liking some Freed there. I think maybe just slightly more than Skeens. Cincinnati, they're just a more dangerous lineup, I think, top to bottom than Detroit. And while the numbers don't bear it out against righties for either team or for Cincinnati, they do still have some guys that I think could cause some trouble. And like you mentioned, Pittsburgh's win equity there with Skeens versus Freed, much more higher today on the slate. If we're going lower into that next tier, you and I didn't really love this per se, but Kikuchi does have that matchup against Boston where we've targeted the strikeout rate. Boston still striking out a ton. A lot of their better hitters right now are from the left side of the plate. You have Pivetta on the opposite side of that matchup. Christopher Sanchez against San Diego. Where are you settling in when it comes to this 8 and 7K range today?
Yeah, I mean, I find it incredibly interesting that you say Kikuchi is getting so much ownership or so much attention. Like the top 3 names that we've talked about are the top 3 projected rostered pitchers. And then there's you say Kikuchi fourth, and then there's a big drop off.
Yeah.
I get it because the strikeout appeal, I do understand. Like Boston has been striking out a lot, but they've gotten healthier lately. Tyler O'Neill's been back. They're playing younger players that have been awesome. They just had a gajillion stolen bases a night ago. And Kikuchi does, for what it's worth, or has, I should say, struggled a little bit with right-handed bats this year. All 7 home runs he's allowed have come to righties. 270 average allowed. Doesn't have any sample against lefties. Lefties just haven't done anything against him, which I guess could be a little bit of a deterrent. Duran is still leading off. They're playing David Hamilton again tonight. So there are 2 lefties in the lineup. And also they're batting Romy Gonzalez 6th and Bobby Dalbec 7th. That's
not a good lineup.
That's the tail end of the harder of their order, right? So that's obviously not as good as it is when Boston's facing a righty. So
wait till tomorrow when Chris Bassitt's on the mound. The Red Sox have 8 lefties in their lineup.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's definitely a good spot. I'm a little wishy-washy with getting to Kikuchi, at least at that ownership, but I understand the appeal because Kikuchi is a guy who has 9 strikeouts in a game 3 times this season. This very well is a fourth an opportunity to have it a 4th time.
When you've seen Garrett Crochet, obviously an elite strikeout guy, double-digit strikeouts. Max Fried, not really considered elite double-digit, 14 strikeouts. Lefties have just been getting the job done outside of Christopher Sanchez the other day. We talked about that on the show this morning. Did not find that same level of success here. Boston also being on the road, a little bit different than them being at home. So there's that to kind of deal with. I'm still kind of in on John Gray here today at $7,900 against the Mets. Again, just kind of, haven't seen any reports of him being limited. I'm trusting that the last start was sort of his buildup, and now he's 80 plus pitches. If you see something different, let me know. But to fit in these top price guys, on this slate specifically, there weren't many other value to mid-tier guys that we liked. I liked Gray. You mentioned Braxton Garrett as a potential guy. We ended up settling in on Spires on the pre-show. Is there anything different for you here today?
Not necessarily, and I still think John Gray is in play for sure. Obviously, the Mets have been better of late, but it's largely come against left-handed pitching. And John Gray throws from the right side. The only other note I'd note about pitching is I liked Jordan Hicks in the pre-show. I don't as much anymore with the wind blowing out in Wrigley. I think that's a little bit of a wrinkle today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, both pitchers in that game, 50+% ground ball rates, like doesn't help our case at all. I wish, like, just on a course slate, like, please give us fly ball pitchers, right? Like, give us Jamison Tyone on the mound, right?
Yeah.
Where like, guy who's not getting ground balls every other out. But the Braxton Garrett thing is, and I think you summed it up perfectly. He faces a Cardinals team that has legacy left-hand hitting players, right? Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado have long hit left-handed pitching. This year, against left-handed pitching, the St. Louis Cardinals are 29th in OPS. They have a 115 ISO, which is tied for 26th. They have a 29th rated WOBA. They are 29th rated in WRC plus. Like, get past Mason Wynn and you win, right? Like, I mean,
Seemingly.
Seemingly. It's been I mean, dude.
Tyler O'Neill isn't walking through that door for them, you know?
Dude, they're batting Jose Furman, who just got called up like a week ago. Hey, buddies, Jose Furman's hitting 167. That's their 2-hitter today. Like, I'm not saying Jose Furman is is always going to be a terrible player. He's been pretty great at AAA, but he's hitting 167 at the major league level, and that's their 2-hitter today. Their catcher, Ivan Herrera, who is fine, 700 OPS, is hitting 5th. Like, this lineup is not your like traditional scary against lefty lineup that the Cards have. So the only downside,
they had obviously hoped that Jordan Walker would have been a part of this lineup, and that guy can't even hit a AAA right now. So
correct. And the only downside is the strikeout rate, right? Where it's like, well, they don't strike out a lot, but if they're not hitting and they're not like, you can still, Braxton Garrett still misses bats or has in the past. And they're still a team ranking in the bottom 2 in every offensive category against left-handed pitching. Like, we can still make do there, and no one's going to play him. I mean, you mentioned it. No one's playing the value tier at all. So like, pick and choose your guy down here. And you want to talk about just one more Braxton Garrett stat: 6.10 ERA, expected ERA 2 runs lower than that at 4.28. FIP 389, XFIP 359. Like, it's just, he has been greatly unlucky. 323 BABIP. Like, it's just been all bad luck for Braxton.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely a play. You know, again, we talked about the home road splits for whatever reason, horrible at home this year, and which should be a better hit pitcher's ballpark. You know, it kind of is where you're at with that. If you believe in home road splits or not, it's not Coors, so or Cincinnati or something like that. So you wouldn't think that there'd be a reason he can't pitch in Miami unless he's out like partying at night or something. Is there anything else here that you would pitch though? I mean, again, we mentioned Spires. We have Carlos Rodriguez here against the Angels. You know, Angels struggling against right-handed pitching. You know, he had a limited outing in that first one there. You know, Drew Peterson, lefty against the Rangers. I mean, the Rangers offense missing some pieces, hasn't been spectacular this year against a left-handed pitching outside of a few guys. I mean, would you attack anybody else with this value tier?
I mean, I think that there's options kind of everywhere, but like, what is the right answer? Spires has a great matchup against Pittsburgh, another team that really struggles against righties. We saw them just get abused by the Cardinals pitching. Pre Coors Field matchup. They're 4th in strikeout rate. The only thing they really do decently against right-handed pitching is hit for power. 154 ISOs, top half of the league. So I think Spires is interesting. Rodriguez, you mentioned, you think you have to worry about, he's been had a control issue in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
So if that, you know, he brings that to the major league level, he's going to have a problem getting deep into games, kind of like how he did in the first game. Not that it was control, but he didn't even make it out of the 4th inning. So I think either of those guys, I know David Peterson showed up in the playbook today, done by Jason. So any of those guys, I think, are punts.
Yeah, I mentioned Peterson mostly because, I mean, you tweeted it out too, like that's gross, man, right? With the way the Rangers lineup is tonight, you know, and the guys that are in it and where they're hitting them in that lineup here today. You know, it's not the typical lineup you'd expect. Obviously, they're missing some key pieces. But after you get past Semien and Seager today at 1-2, Robbie Grossman's your 3-hitter. The struggling Adolis Garcia's hitting cleanup. Langford, a lefty and low. Duran, Huff, who they called up from AAA with Jonah Heim on paternity leave, and then Leody Taveras, who's been really struggling. So, yes, the Rangers don't strike out a ton, but for $6K, if you're trying to get Ohtani in your lineup today, I mean, could be worth the dart throw. So that's the rundown on today's pitching here. Yeah, we appreciate your questions and comments in there. Ryan always talking about if he fades the top guy, he's gonna hit the home runs. If he plays him, he's gonna go for 4. Probably not too far off the way those things happen. I always say, if you're going to do a game stack, or team stack, never exclude the team's best player. So, if you're going to go Dodgers today, get Ohtani, figure it out. Moving on over to catcher. If we're looking to spend down today, we have a couple of value plays down here at the bottom. Gashioka against Sanchez at $2,700 could be a spot for us to go. Pages here against Garrett at $2,400. If you're not in on that, cheap play can go there as well. Herrera's $35 against Garrett. What are your thoughts at catcher today?
I'm okay actually spending up today. Will Smith $5,800. Quantrill. It's a great spot for Will Smith hitting second. We're maximizing at bats here.
So you do Will Smith, Ohtani, and exclude like a Freeman then? Going that route, or?
Yeah, possibly. Or Will Smith, Freeman, whichever you can afford. Sure. Honestly, both those obviously correlate though. Will Smith is in the middle of, so whichever Will Smith plus one of those two correlates the best. Jacob Stallings, I know you are anti-Paxton today. Well, get ready to learn Jacob Stallings' name, buddy, because in 33 at-bats this year against left-handed pitching, Jacob Stallings, John, has a 1,200 OPS and a 357 ISO. And again, 33 plate appearances, I understand. Jacob Stallings, I understand. He's having a pretty good year overall, hitting over 300. Obviously, 1,200 OPS in any type of sample is something that catches my eye. And he's hitting 4th. I mean, we talked about it last night. I didn't think that the Rockies would exclude lefties. I was wrong. They have all Nolan Jones hitting second, and then 8 righties surrounding Nolan Jones. So I do think there's some merit to like possibly spending up at catcher. Also, because when you think about the outfield today, Robbie Grossman's really cheap. The
Leotis is cheap too if you wanted to go Rangers outfield, like
Leotis is, I mean, the Dodgers outside of Teoscar and
Paez is really cheap today.
And the Braves called up Forrest Wall. He's near min salary. He's a lefty against Randy Vasquez. Kelnick is leading off. He's cheap. Like, I think there's a lot of other positions we can spend down on. I just mentioned Furman hitting second at like min salary at second base. So I do think there's actually some merit to spending up at catcher today to like to a Coors Field specific catcher.
The one consistent play today throughout all 3 of my articles that I wrote for Prize Picks, Sleepers, and Underdog was attacking Paxton here tonight, whether it be over 2.5 earned or over 3.5 earned for some demon plays over on Prize Picks for those boosted payouts. I mean, this guy's got an xFIP, a Sierra closer to 6.5, 6 in that range. His expected ERA is, a full 1.5 higher than his actual. Walks per 9 is close to 5. Paxton's been getting as lucky as anybody in all of baseball. Comes the Coors here. We're expecting that to take advantage of tonight for sure. Moving that on over to first base here.
We did have the question
where the guys are
from Suave here. From Suave
Marchand?
here. I like it. Lefty, because he's a switch hitter. He has no good like minor league numbers at all as a hitter, but
I was gonna say he's just a glove catcher. There's no offense there.
And a home run. 2 of the games he's played, one of them has a home run.
Sure. Anyways, Harper's there against Vasquez if you wanted to go not the Dodgers route spending up. I really like Matt Olson today. I put it in our little DFS chat that we got, you and I and our guy Mark Pitts, who tunes in and does the Saturday playbook. Reese Olson's last 5 games cannot get lefties out. Has zero ability of getting left-handed hitters out. And right now we see the Braves offense really starting to click. 572 Woban, almost a 900 slugging percentage allowed by Reese Olson over the last 5 starts for him. 3.7 homers per 9 during that stretch to left-handed hitters. So I talked doing maybe a little 2-man Kelnick and Olson stack today. Matt Olson is probably my favorite first baseman if I'm not going Dodgers.
Yeah, and you could probably just play the Braves top 4. 3 of them are 3 of them lefties, and then Ozuna's just hitting home runs every time, like every other at bat. So, yeah, I think Olson's a great play. I mean, he's the only thing missing from this like scorching hot stretch has been like a few more home runs, but they're coming. I mean, eight extra base hits over that span and RBIs, right? Like those 2 things are coming. He's
2 homers over the last 5. You know, he's I think, and we talked about it, and all the numbers have suggested that Atlanta's bound to break out. Their hard hit rate was among the tops in baseball, and they were getting just nothing out of that hard hit percentage there. So, if we're going down into the mid tier, any targets for you at first today?
Mike Toglia, we talked about last night. I mean, he had the big game the other day, and I know you brought up like the super small sample against left-handed pitching, but it was like 8 at bats. And for the year, he has another guy on the Rockies that just has a really high isolated power. Yeah, he is at 273 ISO, which is 3rd on the team for the Rockies this year. So hitting 5th, that's even higher than I anticipated. So I think Toglia at 43, another slate that I'm just dreading Rockies, that I'm going to end up playing Rockies and like not the Dodgers and just screw it, right? I'm going to play like, I'm just saying, be a little, everyone's playing Dodgers, so why not be a little different, play a little Rockies, 4,300 for all these guys with like 200 plus ISOs against left-handed pitching.
All right, going down a little bit further, Solano versus lefty and Sanchez. You have Montero against Paxton at 31. Rowdy Tellez was one of the projected higher roster first baseman today. That for the value tier. If you want to go there at 2,700, he's in 5th.
He's been good. It's been a lot of base hits.
Yep.
4 extra base hits over his last 10, 14 hits total. So a ton of singles, but there's been a lot of RBIs mixed in there.
He's like turning into Vogelbach, right? Just a monster dude that just slaps.
I don't hate it if you're punting the position for sure.
Any other first baseman for you? No. Second base. Where are you going? Albie's on the top. Semien, Stott.
Yeah, I mean, I do think. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not saying playing. By the way, I'm not saying don't play Dodgers. I just hate money. I just hate winning money. Ozzie Albies for sure. If you're stacking Braves, I know he's obviously good against left-handed pitching, and this is the wrong end of the split. But John mentioned how bad Reese Olson has been against lefties. Marcus Semien has not been bad against lefties. He's mashed lefties this year. Bryson Stott, he's been pretty bad, but obviously this is a spot against Randy Vasquez. Randy Vasquez can't get lefties out. So Stott, and plus this is obviously the easier side to steal base on. Stott has a lot of stolen bases. So any of the top 3, Nick Gonzalez hitting 4th. He just continues to rake. And then like, I do think you could punt like either Wisely at 3K leading off against Assad. Like, I am a little bit intrigued here. Look, this game is super appealing, right? It opened at 9. It's been bet up to 10 implied runs. There is 10 to 15 mile an hour winds in Wrigley. We know what that means.
Yeah.
Balls carry in Wrigley when there's wind better than any other ballpark there is, right? It's like, it's Coors Light when there's wind, but it's at what point do you look at the pitcher and be like, well, this guy doesn't give up fly balls. It's 50-something% ground ball rate for both Jordan Hicks and Javier Assad.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here thinking Blake Wisely's going to hit me a home run, but he's been good lately, and he's been good enough to where they're like, we're gonna lead him off. So
Right.
Wisely leading off is very interesting. And then if you're fading Braxton Garrett, you're not going to find many two hitters at $2,100, and that's what Jose Furman is. He's 21.
Would you look at Amador or Trejo down here? Just more cheap Rockies against Paxton?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel better about like their chances than like Furman for a little cheaper, then sure. If you don't like that, those $400 could be difference between getting a expensive Dodger or not. So I guess depending on your roster construction, but I'm perfectly fine playing anyone against Paxton, as you've talked about how bad the numbers are.
Over at third base, again, you have Devers on a lefty-lefty, but we haven't really shied away from that in the past. Bohm gets Vasquez here. And then we had the question, comment on the red hot Austin Riley from our guy JP in here. When he's hot, he gets hot, he stays hot. 3 straight games at a homer. I really like the Braves. I think the Braves are my pivot off of the Dodgers today. Them and the Phillies are my 2 top alt stacks from that game here today. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine getting some Riley. Even the righty Riley better had hit righties for power, certainly over the last couple of years here. So more than happy to take Riley of that top 3.
Yeah, I mean, you said we're not scared of playing Devers against lefties this year. It's been pretty bad for him. He's basically done all of his damage against righties. And Kikuchi, although small sample, lefties have done literally nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a tough sell there, unless you're stacking Red Sox, right? Because you said it already. Like,
yeah, nobody's playing Boston today. So
and if you're playing Boston, like, are you going to exclude Rafael Devers and just play like Rob Refsnyder and Connor Wong? Like, that's the Boston stack? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not playing Boston today. I just said who I'm playing. So
right. No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying that people who are playing a Boston stack are not going to exclude
people who are playing a Boston stack are making 20, 30, 40 lineups today, probably. So
other than that, I mean, if you're against Garrett, obviously Nolan Arenado. I continue to say how good Joey Ortiz has been against right-handed pitching, because he has. Solano's here, first, third eligibility. And then you have like punts down here, Trejo, second, third eligibility.
Yeah, I mean, Ezekiel Duran, I've said it before, he does have like career good split numbers against left-handed pitching. I think he had like an over 200 ISO in each of the last 2 years. I think the last time actually that we called this play out against a lefty, he ended up homering in that game. It didn't come off the lefty starter. It ended up coming off, I think, off the righty reliever. But again, if you wanted to punt Ezekiel Duran today against Peterson, that's fine. I feel like I'm more apt to just punt with Peterson on the other side of this matchup for that specific reasoning. But then, as you mentioned, Furman, dual positional eligibility, you got him down here at $2,100 if you're not going the Braxton Garrett route. Anyone else for you at third?
Nothing
I see. What's the Ohtani ownership?
I guess Kevin, if you wanted to talk about an ownership play, Kevin Biggio here is like the 4th highest rostered.
I know, and it's a lefty, so like I don't really know. Him and Lux, both the lefties.
Rojas in the lineup. Rojas is also in the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind Rojas. I'd rather play Rojas than the other 2.
I'd rather play Rojas as
well. The ownership on Ohtani today over on DraftKings. Again, he was one of the cheaper or lower roster to Dodgers today. Ohtani coming at 13%. So if you wanted to get there, you can. Obviously, 3rd highest rostered outfielder still. Let's move on to shortstop, though. Ellie against Skeens is 58. Seager at 54. Trey Turner back in the lineup, $5,300. Tovar against Paxton at 52. You and I built the lineup this morning. We had Tovar included in that, along with Ohtani and Freeman. We got it to work. Still in on Tovar as our top guy here today?
Yeah, I find it interesting they moved him to 3rd because he's been hitting 2nd, right? So they moved him down. They moved him down a spot, which is good.
You know that means like soon we'll have Tovar 3rd base eligibility with DraftKings probably.
I love Ezekiel Tovar here. I'm very interested because you talked about it earlier. Trey Turner is one of the most rostered players, and we had a comment earlier, I think, about Trey Turner. I think it was from DGen Stoner. No, it was that he said Seager. But Seager's getting a ton of ownership as well. Turner's the top rostered shortstop. Seager's the second. Ezekiel Tovar is being played by you and I, and that's it. No one else is playing him. He's 2% rostered.
And our guy Cam the Man,
Cam,
I'm a
and
Tovar
Cam.
fan.
Yeah, and Cam. Us three. That makes up the 2% rostership that Tovar is getting. Despite being as good as he's been against everyone, not just left-handed pitching, but Ezekiel Tovar 200 ISO against lefties this year, 330 WOBA. So yeah, I don't really get that one. He's for sure the top dog, and I will take a 13 or 11% rostership discount from Turner. I'll take a 10% rostership discount from Seager and play Tovar in Coors Field for sure.
Agreed. Are working our way down again. We liked Spires as sort of a value play, but you do have O'Neal Cruz at $4,300. He hits lefties. That's all he's doing. So if you think you can get him in there at 43, you can. I'm not going to tell you that David Hamilton can't do anything, because at this point he can do everything. I know you mentioned all the lefty splits, but the dude is as hot as really anybody can be right now.
Just needs to get the first. He just needs to get the first.
He gets on the first. It's like get him on first, and he's got a triple basically, right? So I mean, Mason Wynn there leading off at $3,700 is pretty good. As you mentioned, one of the only Cardinals actually hitting lefties this year. Ceddanne Rafaela, I mean, 425, 914 OPS. This dude's heating up as much as anybody else is on that team. He's got the righty lefty matchup there. If you wanted to maybe punt there at $3,200, you can. You mentioned Wisely already at $3K down here as a value play. Romy Gonzalez hitting 6 is kind of gross. But what else are you looking at short today?
Willie Adames against a right-handed pitcher. That's just been the
not home though. He's in LA.
Not home.
What if he can't see the backstop, man?
Well, it's dark out. That'd be a problem. I mean, then we have to test his eyes for like when he drives his car and like all this different stuff. But he is getting a righty that's been historically where he's made all of his money. I do like O'Neal Cruz quite a bit against Spires rather. Spires profiled pretty well in AAA this year, pitched to like a sub-3 ERA, but obviously that's AAA. O'Neal Cruz has been really good against righties specifically.
Yeah.
Hitting third, love that spot.
I'm going Tovar over Cruz though, to Prince.
Agreed. 100% agreed. If you need the money, obviously there's a $900 gap, so you can.
Yep.
But
agreed.
Like everything else you mentioned is I'm in lockstep.
Outfield here again. If you can get Ohtani in your lineup, I will not sit here and tell you no. His prop today, James, hits, runs, and RBIs
4.5,
3.5, which means a home run would not hit the over on that prop there today. So again, usually 2.5 is the boost. His was 3.5, just to kind of give you a perspective of where everybody thinks Ohtani is going to be here tonight. I didn't even look to see what his home run prop is today. If I had to just guess, do you think it's under plus 200? I think he's like plus 175 to homer. What do you think Ohtani is today?
I think he's going to be right around, probably somewhere around like 200.
I mean, on like a normal day, it's plus 250, right? Now they're in Coors. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Maybe one of you guys can beat me to that as I have to relog into everything over on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's classic.
Let's see. Well, while we wait on that, I like Kyle Schwarber against Randy Vasquez as well.
What do you make of Teoscar getting more ownership than Shohei? Is that just a price thing?
I think he's $1,000 cheaper.
It's a price thing.
Honestly, I think that's just what people are like. You know what? I can get to Teoscar with my Freeman stack. It's very difficult to do so with Ohtani. So that's where I'm at with it. Let's see. Scrolling. Ohtani is plus 140 to homer. I mean,
holy cow!
Dude, they're giving that's even money basically on a home run.
What are the Dodgers? What are the Dodgers? Rattle off their top 4 in general.
So let's see. Where's Freeman? Freeman's plus 285. He's the next guy. So it's Ohtani at plus 140, Freeman at 285, Teoscar 330, and Will Smith 350. Toglia is 245. He is the second best odds.
Oh boy.
Hunter Goodman 285. So big dude, plus 140 to homer. I mean, that's insane. That is insane odds for a home run here. So, yeah, exactly. So you got that with Ohtani. Ozuna's never stopped hitting. So if you're playing the Braves today,
play him.
You play Ozuna. I mean, that guy again. You can fit him in. We had a comment earlier. Where was the Kelenic comment there? Somewhere in here. Best value of the slate. Someone had it. There it is. Cam the man. Best comment on the slate. Ryan saying he likes the Braves call. Yeah, Braves for me are my alt stack off of the Dodgers here today. Because Kelenic, what was he say? 32, 34, something like that?
He is very free at
32. Leading off. So
789 OPS, second on the team, 192 ISO, second on the team versus right-handed pitching.
Yeah, let's see what Braves home run odds are here. Braves Olsen is plus 310. Again, just kind of speak how crazy the odds are in course here. Kelenic plus 550, but we're not really giving to the homer. Ozuna's plus 310 as well. Those are the top two odds there: 310, Ozuna, and Olsen in that game. Again, like Schwarber here, that's fine by me. Anybody else for you at the top?
I mean, I don't think there's need to play anyone other if you're spending up Ohtani, Ozuna, Teoscar, Schwarber, Yelich.
So Schwarber to the homer is plus 175.
Well, dude, it's as good as a matchup as it gets, and they're home, right? So like obvious spark upgrade from going to like if this game was in San Diego. Randy Vasquez just does not get lefties out, and Schwarber's we talked about on the show this morning. He's been amazing. 1,000 OPS, hitting 300 in his last 10 games. Like, that's crazy odds.
I'm just not used to seeing home run props in the plus ones, like you guys are plus 200 maybe, getting 175 for Schwarber, 140 for Ohtani today. Far and away the top home run odds on the board here today. Trey Turner's plus 290 to homer.
Has 5 home runs on the year and has spent all this time on the IL, but plus
and Harper's plus 245. So again, liking those bats there, Philly against Vasquez. Down in the mid tier, where are you looking to go today?
I mean, I definitely don't mind like a Nolan Jones 51 if you're playing against Paxton. I don't mind Tyler O'Neill 49 if you're playing righties against Kikuchi. I think both those guys are in play. I love Brenton Doyle now that we know he's in the lineups leading off tonight. We've profiled Brenton Doyle every time we've done this show, how good he is at Coors Field, and it just doesn't get worse. It just only gets better. He's hitting 340 at home, 923 OPS, 10 stolen bases there, and now he gets Paxton, who's again all the peripheral stats suggest the blow up is coming. So definitely like Doyle. If you are a believer in the wind, Heliot Ramos against Javier Assad is definitely in play with how good he has been. I think the Giants, like top of that lineup, is a little bit interesting, just like a Wisely Ramos 1-2 stack and like move on. Because again, like if that ball is hit in the air and there's 15-mile-an-hour winds out in Wrigley, there's going to be home runs. It's not an accident that game has a 10 implied run total, right? That is, you don't see 10 implied run totals very often outside of wind games in Wrigley, Great American Ballpark when there's like poor pitching, and Coors. Those are like the 3 spots you typically see those types of totals, and we have one tonight. So I do think the Giants are a little bit interesting here. I wonder another spot. I'd wonder what the home run odds are in some spots like Soler or Chapman or the Cubs in general. So I don't hate Ramos at 43. We mentioned Toglia 43. He has the best home run odds for anyone on the Colorado Rockies. Profar hits lefties really well. So there's a Hunter Goodman who's now just only outfield eligible. We've had like first base for most of the year. Now he's only eligible. He's $4,000, but we just saw him double down the other day, and he's hitting 7.
Sure. Anybody else down here for values? You mentioned again, obviously we have talked up Kelenic a lot. Was there anybody else though, I guess, as we work our way down that you're in on?
I mean, Robbie Grossman is $2,800 hitting third, and you want to talk about a legacy left-handed hitter. Robbie Grossman is that, right? Like Robbie Grossman has always hit left-handed pitching extremely well. He has not hit left-handed pitching extremely well this year. He's not really hit anything well this year. Outside of 3 hits in his last 2 games, that's the only thing you can hang your hat on if you're Robbie Grossman. And the fact that he's hitting third tonight. So I think there's that. And if I'm punting Braves, I really do think it's a little bit interesting they called Forrest Wall up. He had been really good in AAA this year. He's a lefty, just another lefty bat in the Braves lineup. He's hitting near the bottom, so it's not like necessarily correlation stack. He's a fast human being. He has like 3 straight seasons of 50 plus stolen bases. So if Forrest Wall gets on, which when you talk about Randy Vasquez, a lot of people get on base with Randy Vasquez. He's not. It's lefties. Not. He just can't control the baseball either. Like that's part of the Yankees trading him. A lot of deep counts, a lot of base runners for Vasquez. So if Forrest Wall gets on, we're running. So just another. And then we didn't say any Dodgers, but like all the Dodgers outfielders are cheap. Hayward's cheap. Pages is cheap. So those guys as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get a lineup build then. Do we just like plug in Kelenic as like our first plug here?
Yep.
Pitching, we going Skeens or Fried?
And we're split here, so
we'll go strikeout upside. I think the fans like Skeens. I'll give him tournaments. What's our SP2 then?
Do you want to go all the way down, or do you want to like sit?
I mean, I'm fine going Peterson if you're not going to give any Rangers here.
The only Ranger that I think we'd go is probably Robbie Grossman, right? If we needed to get Dodgers,
right.
but then we're basically eliminating any Dodger outfielder other than Ohtani at that point, right?
Yeah.
Or we play Ohtani at first and play like Will Smith. That would basically
right. Because I mean, we talked Spires, but we're going Skeens here. You liked Garrett, I liked Gray.
I'd be good with Gray unless we punted Peterson. Yeah, I'm good with Peterson.
Because I just don't know if we can like get
to what we want to get
there.
Well, because I think if we're spending up, it's probably like Shohei Tovar. I think both you and I were like, or Shohei Toglia at 43 looking mighty good, dude. Oh. I like where your brain's at right now, John.
I'm just trying to see.
I like the way it's working.
Just trying to see what we're doing down here.
We have, if we're not playing Garrett, there's Furman or Wisely at 3K leading off in Wrigley with the.
Yeah, we can do Wisely. Was he second base?
Yeah, he's $3,000, second or short.
Did we have it? What did we have more of here? We liked Riley. Did we get? I don't know if we can get Riley even with Wisely though, so that rhymed there. $3,900. You liked Ortiz.
We can punt with Donovan Solano. We just know like that's definitely not a home run there.
No.
0 home run upside with that play. I don't love the value tier at third. I mean, I don't love third base really at all. So if we wanted to punt, you can punt with Furman to like solidify. I mean, he's $2,100 batting second.
I mean, I'm fine going Wall here. We go a little back end Kelenic Wall stack. Do we move Ohtani then to the outfield, or do we do like Doyle?
Doyle rules.
Okay. Where is he? There he is. 44. That gives us a 4,800 third baseman. It's really just like a dead man's area because we don't like this position. So
yeah.
What if we did Solano and then
up from Wall
41 or so close to Pie?
Goodman.
So close.
Or Jay Hay.
Yeah.
It's probably Jay Hay or Goodman if we stayed on the Rocky side of things.
Would you do Marsh? Just one off Marsh against Vasquez?
The lefties, just get lefties in the lineup.
It's just one, right? We don't have any Philly.
Yeah, he's been great since returning, but
I didn't text this out yet. What's Ohtani in the outfield look like here? What's our first base at 41? Where's Toglia? Oh, he's 43.
43, yeah. Yep. I mean, the way to do it is is playing Jose Furman, but I think you're completely off Jose Furman.
I'm fine going to Furman if it makes it fit. That's
it makes
fine.
it. I mean, it makes it fit, but you know,
that gives us a 5K outfielder or first baseman. So 5K goes Una back here, or Ohtani back here.
I mean, that puts Pages back on our radar at 43.
I like Pages tonight. So, but that gives us a 5K outfielder. 5K outfielder in this range. I mean, yeah, we get Toglia back, right? So that gives us
it's Toglia.
Can we go up at third from Solano? Anything interesting there? Where's Rojas? There we go. Bingo. Okay, we'll do that. Skeens, Peterson, Stallings, Ohtani, Furman, Rojas, Tovar, Kelnick, Doyle, and Toglia. Example lineup for everybody here. Get in the Discord. Find us over on Twitter. Good luck with your lineups here tonight, everybody. We'll catch y'all later.